The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning to you here at 5 a.m. Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen. Kevin Schrud is himself, but he's also kind of filling in for Alex this morning, who's working on a dayside project with our team. Begin this morning with a follow-up on that suspicious house fire in Riverside, a crime now sending shockwaves across the country for parents and teens. We're learning the case is an apparent cross-country catfishing scandal involving a former Virginia state trooper. Police say he kidnapped a Southern California teen and murdered her family. Carlos Saucedo with our sister station KTLA reports.
The online entrapment of a minor ends in a deadly outcome, leaving this Riverside neighborhood grief-stricken.
My heart is broke because all this family, they don't have to pass for this.
Authorities say 28-year-old Austin Lee Edwards catfished or deceived an unidentified teen girl online, making her think he was someone else.
Basically, he was portraying to be someone younger and probably someone different, and developed an online relationship with her.
Edwards got the teen's address and is said to have traveled cross-country from Virginia, where he worked in law enforcement as a state trooper and most recently a sheriff's deputy. Edwards arrived to the Riverside home on Price Court Friday morning, where he allegedly killed 3 members of the Winneck family, the teen's mom, Brooke, and grandparents, Mark and Sherry. Authorities say he then set their home on fire to cover up the slayings. Edwards forced the girl into his car. One neighbor heard the commotion and called police, who eventually spotted them on the freeway, triggering a pursuit that ended with the teen escaping unharmed and Edwards dying in a shootout with San Bernardino deputies in Kelso. Over the weekend, neighbors held a vigil outside the home.
And if it's personal, because it's right across the street and it could have been anyone.
Melissa Carrion says she saw the teen's sister at the vigil and offered her support.
When I saw the family, and it hurt me because I told her we lived down the street if she ever needed anything, and I wanted her to know, we'll be there.
Authorities say this incident, while tragic, should serve as a reminder to teens and parents.
There are predators out there who are preying on our kids, and that's how this relationship began. You have a vulnerable victim here, and you have a suspect who's taking advantage on that.
Carlos Saucedo reporting. A GoFundMe account's been set up to help the victims' loved ones. The Winneck Family Fund has raised more than $35,000 so far. You can find a link on our website, kget.com. The family, meantime, is expected to speak out alongside Riverside Police later this week. Back here at home, the Kern County Sheriff's Office is looking for a man they say committed sexual battery against a child near a Bakersfield school. It happened back on September 9th near Pioneer Drive Elementary School in East Bakersfield. The man's described as about 25 years old, 5 foot 8 inches tall, medium build, with black shoulder-length hair and a thin mustache. He was riding a black beach cruiser style bicycle with chrome handlebars and a front white wall tire. Anyone with information can call KCSO at 861-3110, or you can remain anonymous by calling the secret witness line. That number is 322-4040. And new details this morning on the officer-involved shooting that left a man hospitalized in Wasco over the weekend. Officials now saying that man, shot by deputies, was armed with a gun.
999, one down. 999, one down. 999, one down.
That was the call heard across police scanners just after 1 a.m. on Sunday. According to KCSO, deputies were investigating a report of gunshots when they tried to pull over a vehicle. The driver allegedly took off, prompting a short chase that ended in a crash on Gromer and Magnolia Avenues. Deputies say the driver had a handgun and ran off after the crash, but didn't say what prompted at least one deputy to fire at the driver. The man who was shot is expected to survive. The recent violence leaving many in Wasco concerned for their safety.
When I think about it, it is scary, and I do stay in the house most of the time these days.
It's been really bad lately. We have our Ring app at home, and every other day there's always, did you guys hear gunshots, ambulances, stuff like that going around like almost on the daily.
Both residents we spoke to say they hope the Wasco City Council approves the development of the city's own police department, saying it could be the change Wasco needs. In your 17 Court Watch this morning, the man accused of carrying out multiple hate crimes against the new Allen Chapel AME Church in Delano is scheduled to make his first court appearance today. The Delano Police Department says 33-year-old Kyle Lewis Sisson spray painted derogatory and racist remarks on the church at least 3 separate times. The latest incident allegedly happened November 18th. Sisson's been booked on felony hate crime and vandalism charges. He's being held on $500,000 bail. And now to news making headlines around the nation. This morning, the person who stabbed 4 students to death at the University of Idaho is still on the loose. The victims were all under age 22 and were killed at their off-campus home in the middle of the night. Classes have resumed following the Thanksgiving holiday, but the U of I campus is noticeably quieter as students remain apprehensive in the wake of the horrific stabbings. Local police forces have increased their presence in the area and have received an influx of 911 calls from the fearful Idaho community following the killings. No murder weapon has been found and no suspects have been identified. News Nation's Brian Enton has the latest.
Classes are back in session at the University of Idaho, but it is noticeably quieter. Many students opting not to return to campus since the killer who stabbed students Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Kaylee Gonzalez is still on the run.
I feel like a lot of people are pretty apprehensive and everybody's being very vigilant. Just kind of like avoiding bars in like downtown areas and things like that, you know, walking with a buddy and like that type of thing.
Local and state police have beefed up their presence on campus, and sorority houses have hired private security guards.
I personally won't go out at night alone right now, but I do feel like there is like increased police on campus.
Does it feel less busy on campus today?
Yeah, actually it does. It seems a little less people walking around. For sure.
It's unclear what neighbors near the house where the murders happened have told police, or if police have suspect information that they are not sharing with the public. Investigators acknowledge the sense of fear in the small community and say since the murders they've received 78 calls for unusual circumstances. Everything from a caller telling police her front door was wide open, another reporting someone shining a light into her window, a window tagged in red spray paint, men shadowboxing people, getting close and touching them in a bar, and a woman receiving a note saying she better watch out. It's been a little more than 2 weeks now since the murders. Parts of the timeline are still missing, but we know according to police that Kaylee and Madison were here the night before the killings at a bar called the Corner Club in Moscow. Investigators say they were here between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. The bartender inside the club told me workers were instructed only to talk to police. At 1:40 a.m., Kaylee and Madison were seen on surveillance video at the grub truck just down the street. Police say they used a private party for a ride back home, arriving back here at the house at about 1:56 a.m. Investigators say the other victims, Ethan and Xana, were seen here at the Sigma Chi fraternity. They returned back to the house around 1:45 a.m., the killings happening soon after. And now, more than 2 weeks later, so much fear and angst that an arrest has not been made.
It just could be anybody.
It could be anybody. It really could.
I mean, you know, everybody
really
knows
know.
somebody's cracked at one time or another.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
It's just so brutal, though. I mean,
yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing. That's
very personal, too, I feel like.
That was Brian Enton reporting. In your 17 Court Watch, a man convicted of killing his girlfriend's 8-month-old son in Tehachapi could have his sentence reduced. 26-year-old Tobin Wayne Phillips was convicted of strangling Barron Smith in 2017. Phillips was sentenced to life in prison without parole. But the 5th District Court of Appeals has ordered Phillips resentenced in Kern County because of a change to state law in 2021. Phillips could get a lesser penalty of 25 years to life. The first jury panel will be called today for the penalty phase retrial of a former deputy convicted of killing a woman and a girl in the 1980s. It's expected to take more than a month to select the jury to hear the retrial of David Keith Rogers, who was convicted and sentenced to death in 1992 for the murders of 20-year-old Janine Benatende and 15-year-old Tracy Clark. In 2019, the California Supreme Court overturned Rogers' death sentence after finding a prosecution witness falsely testified he sexually assaulted her. The trial is expected to start in January. Your time now is 5:37, and now to one of our signature issues, pedestrian safety. Now that it's getting darker earlier, drivers say the streets of Bakersfield are getting more dangerous. To address that, the city's working to bring street lights to previously neglected neighborhoods. According to Councilmember Eric Arias, broken streetlights or lack of lighting in general is a big issue affecting Ward 1, which has a higher rate of accidents and pedestrian deaths than the rest of the city. Arias says the city needs to fix the lights in areas that include East and Southeast Bakersfield.
A lot of the newer development goes, specifically in other parts of town. I am proud to represent one of the oldest communities in all of Bakersfield, and over the past 30-40 years, we have not seen significant investment. We can do better, install those streetlights in those communities, in those neighborhoods that need it the most.
City voters approved Measure N in 2018 to provide funding to help improve street lighting. The project's been done in phases. Phase 1 installed 163 new street lights in 2021, and 138 street lights were approved for installation this September. The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.